My wife just texted me she's filing for divorce and plans to take everything. I'm David, 40, sitting here in complete shock after getting a text from my wife Qley, 38, that's turned my world upside down. We've been married for 7 years and have a beautiful daughter Lily who just turned 6 last month. I always knew Qley had a strong personality. She's ambitious, driven, and yeah, sometimes a bit prideful, but I never thought she'd blindside me like this. Last week while I was at work, my phone buzzed with a text from her. I'm filing for divorce on Monday. My lawyer says we can easily have you declared unstable to split assets and get custody. I'll be taking the house. Just like that. No discussion, no warning, no attempts at counseling. Just a cold declaration of war. I stared at my phone for what felt like hours, my mind racing through every moment of our marriage, wondering how we got here. Instead of firing back, I simply replied, I understand your strategy. That's it. No emotional explosion, no begging. Part of me wanted to scream, but something told me to stay calm and think. When I got home, Qley was acting like nothing happened, talking about dinner plans and Lily's upcoming school project. The disconnect between her text and her behavior was jarring. I played along, talking about normal family stuff while my stomach was in knots. After Lily went to bed, Qley retreated to her home office as usual. We've been sleeping in separate bedrooms for about 3 months now, her idea, claiming my snoring was keeping her up. But now I wonder if this divorce has been in the works all along. The next few days went by in a blur of anxiety and sleepless nights. Then yesterday afternoon, I came home early from work and went to grab some files from our home office, a space we share. As I was looking for some tax documents in the filing cabinet, I accidentally knocked over a folder on Qley's desk. When I picked it up, a few pages slipped out that caught my attention because I saw my name mentioned several times in what looked like therapy notes. I shouldn't have read them, but something about seeing David shows signs of instability written in what was clearly a professional assessment made me pause. I flipped through a few more pages and realized I was looking at fragments of Qley's therapy sessions with Dr. Hayes. What alarmed me wasn't that she was discussing our marriage problems that would be expected, but specific phrases like documenting incidents to build a case and creating a narrative about David's instability jumped out at me. The folder contained maybe 15-20 pages, but references to a comprehensive documentation strategy made me suspect there was more. I noticed her laptop was open, connected to our printer's cloud storage. A quick check revealed she'd been compiling and printing an extensive file over the past few months: therapy notes, manufactured incident reports, and a detailed strategy for claiming I was mentally unstable to gain leverage in a divorce. Most disturbing was an email exchange with her therapist discussing how to frame existing events to support her custody claims. I didn't confront her. Instead, I took photos of the pages I'd found, made sure everything was back exactly as it had been, and immediately called a lawyer. I got an appointment with Julian Qley the next morning, a no-nonsense attorney in his 50s who specializes in high-conflict divorces. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I keep looking at our daughter and wondering how Qley could be willing to use her as a weapon against me. What kind of person plans this kind of calculated destruction of their family? And worse, who documents their plans to lie in court and then leaves that evidence lying around? I'll update when I meet with the lawyer tomorrow. I'm scared, angry, and completely lost right now. Update 1. It's been 3 days since my initial post, and I feel like I've lived a lifetime. After meeting with Julian Qley, the attorney I mentioned, I've been riding an emotional roller coaster between moments of cold clarity and crushing anxiety. Julian looked through the photos I'd taken, and his expression darkened. This is the most calculated attempt at character assassination I've seen in years, he said. He advised me to wait and let Qley file first, explaining we'd be in a stronger position to counterattack if she committed to her lies legally. The waiting has been excruciating. Every night, I lie awake staring at the ceiling, listening to Qley move around the house, wondering how the woman I built a life with could transform into such a stranger. During the day, I've caught her watching me with a calculating look in her eyes, like she's measuring me for a coffin. I've become hyper-aware of everything in our home. The toys Lily leaves scattered across the living room floor, the wedding photos still hanging on the walls like some cruel joke, the careful distance Qley maintains, never allowing herself to be alone with me except when she's trying to provoke a reaction. And she's definitely trying to provoke me. She started leaving her phone out with text messages to her sister visible on the screen. David seems unstable lately. I'm keeping notes of everything. On Thursday, I found she'd been recording our conversations. A small voice recorder hidden under a stack of magazines on the coffee table, its red light blinking accusingly at me. Julian warned me that Lily would become a pawn in this game. They'll try to establish you're an uninvolved father, he cautioned. So I've doubled down on daddy-daughter time, despite the knot in my stomach. We've built elaborate pillow forts, had tea parties with her stuffed animals, and read every book in her collection twice over. Through it all, I've felt Qley's eyes on us, calculating, assessing. Sunday night was when everything boiled over. Lily was finally asleep after a day where Qley had done everything possible to undermine me. She'd contradicted every decision I made about Lily's activities, criticized how I helped with homework, and accidentally mentioned several times that Daddy might not be living here much longer within Lily's earshot. When Qley cornered me in the kitchen, hissing that I was always impossible to live with, something inside me finally snapped, not in anger, but in a moment of perfect, crystalline clarity. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "You lost any moral high ground when you started planning to lie about me in court." The color drained from her face so quickly I thought she might faint. For a split second, naked panic flashed in her eyes before she recovered and spat back, "I have no idea what you're talking about." I just smiled the kind of smile that says I know exactly what you're hiding and walked away, leaving her frozen in the kitchen. It was the first time in our marriage that I felt the power dynamic shift, like watching a predator suddenly realize it's become the prey. Later that night, through the thin wall between our bedrooms, I heard her frantically whispering on the phone, "He knows something, Viv. I don't know how much, but he knows." The panic in her voice was unmistakable. Good. Despite my warning, Qley proceeded with filing on Monday morning. Julian called to confirm that her lawyer, Marcus, had submitted the divorce petition, painting me as emotionally unstable and demanding primary custody for Qley with only supervised visitation for me. It also demanded exclusive use of our home, a house I'd owned for years before we even met. When Julian asked why she would push forward even after I'd revealed I knew about her plans, I explained what I've come to understand about Qley over our years together. She's never admitted being wrong about anything. Even when caught red-handed, she doubles down. Plus, she's already told her family, friends, and co-workers her version. Backing down would mean admitting she was planning to lie. Julian has prepared our counter-response, including evidence of Qley's planned deception and steps to get confirmation from Dr. Hayes about the situation without breaking confidentiality. But before sending our full response, he notified Marcus Chen that we had concrete evidence of planned false statements. That night, Qley burst into the living room, her face contorted with rage and fear. "What did your lawyer tell Marcus? He's demanding I meet him tomorrow morning." Her hands were shaking as she held her phone out, showing a terse text from her attorney. I set my book down calmly. He told him the truth, that we have evidence you plan to lie to the court about my mental state and behavior. "You went through my private therapy notes?" She was almost screaming now. "How could you?" "I didn't go looking for them," I replied evenly. "But when they fell into my lap and showed you were planning to destroy my relationship with our daughter through lies, what did you expect me to do? Just accept it?" She shifted tactics immediately, tears replacing rage. "You don't understand what I've been going through. My therapist suggested I document things, that's all." "Document things that never happened?" I asked, keeping my voice steady despite the anger churning inside me. She flinched like I'd slapped her. "You've always twisted everything I say." "We both know that's not true," I said, standing up. "And now the court will know too." As I walked past her toward my bedroom, she grabbed my arm. Her nails dug into my skin as she hissed, "This isn't over. You have no idea what I'm capable of." For the first time, I believed her, and it terrified me. Not for myself, but for what Lily might witness in the coming weeks. I gently removed her hand and said, "For Lily's sake, I hope you reconsider your approach. I'm documenting everything now. Every interaction, every threat, every attempt to use Lily as leverage. When this is over, I want to be able to look our daughter in the eyes and tell her I did everything possible to protect her from the worst of this storm. Edit. Wow, this blew up overnight. Thank you all for the support. To address common questions, yes, I'm documenting everything. No, I haven't recorded conversations as that's legally questionable where I live. And yes, I've changed all passwords and secured important documents. I'm focusing on keeping things stable for Lily amid this chaos. Update 2. It's been a whirlwind week since my last update. Julian filed our response to Qley's divorce petition, and it was devastating. For each false claim she made about me being unstable or unfit, he included the photos I'd found showing she had planned to fabricate those exact allegations. The affidavit from Dr. Hayes confirming she had cautioned a client against making potentially false statements in legal proceedings was the final nail in the coffin. Julian also included a motion for 50-50 custody and established that our home was my separate property from before the marriage. The atmosphere at home has become toxic. Qley alternates between cold silence and explosive anger, like a wounded animal lashing out. Her sister Vivian showed up Wednesday night, pounding on our door until I answered. The moment I opened it, she started screaming that I was a monster for using Qley's mental health against her. Neighbors came out onto their porches to watch the spectacle. I remained calm and simply stated, I'm not using her mental health against her. I'm protecting myself from her documented plans to lie about me. This only enraged Vivian more. She jabbed her finger into my chest, threatening that their entire family would make sure everyone knew what kind of man I really was. I simply closed the door as she continued shouting obscenities from our front lawn. An hour later, Qley's mother Diana called, taking a different approach, her voice honey-sweet with manipulation. David, darling, surely we can work this out for Lily's sake. When I didn't immediately agree, the mask slipped. You're being selfish and cruel. Is this really how you want to tear your family apart? I firmly told her that everything I was doing was for Lily's sake, to ensure I remained in her life as an equal parent. Thursday evening brought the lowest point yet. I came home from work early to spend time with Lily and found Qley sitting on the couch with our daughter, tears streaming down her face. Mommy, why are you crying? Lily was asking, her own little face crumpled with worry. Because Daddy is trying to hurt Mommy, Qley sobbed, looking directly at me as I stood in the doorway. I've never felt such cold fury. My hands trembled as I fought to keep my voice gentle. Lily, honey, could you go to your room and pick out a book? I'll be there in a minute for story time. Once Lily was out of earshot, I crossed the room in 3 strides. Don't you ever use our daughter as a pawn again, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. If you try to alienate her from me, I will add parental alienation to our counterfiling and seek primary custody myself. You wouldn't, she whispered, looking genuinely frightened for the first time. Try me, I replied. I didn't want this fight, but I will finish it if you force me to. That night, I lay on Lily's bed long after she'd fallen asleep, watching her peaceful face and wondering how to protect her from the poison spreading through our home. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that the foundation of her world is crumbling? That the 2 people she trusts most are locked in a battle that will reshape all our lives? Friday morning, Julian and I met with Marcus Chen and Qley for our first settlement discussion. The conference room felt charged with tension as we took our seats. Qley wouldn't look at me, staring down at her hands as Chen whispered something in her ear. Despite everything, I felt a pang of sadness for what we'd lost, or perhaps for what I'd thought we had. Julian laid out our terms clearly: 50-50 custody, I keep the house, and minimal spousal support of $800 monthly for 18 months. In exchange, Qley would retract all false allegations. Marcus tried negotiating for higher support, but Julian simply opened a folder containing the evidence and placed it on the table. We can settle reasonably today, he said, or let a judge see these documents and decide how credible your client is. The meeting ended with Qley reluctantly agreeing to our terms, with only a small adjustment to spousal support, $1,000 monthly. As we were leaving, I overheard Marcus scolding Qley about not disclosing this kind of liability to him beforehand. The fallout has extended beyond our divorce proceedings. Yesterday, Qley received a letter from Dr. Hayes terminating their therapeutic relationship citing ethical concerns. She threw the letter across the kitchen when she thought I wasn't looking, then swept up the pieces with shaking hands. Through all this chaos, I've focused entirely on Lily. We've built blanket forts, read stories, and tried to create moments of normalcy. I've never said a negative word about Qley to her, despite the temptation. Yesterday, Lily asked me during bath time, "Daddy, are you and Mommy going to stop fighting?" The simplicity of her question broke my heart. "We're trying to figure things out, sweetie," was all I could say. "The settlement will be finalized next week. The war is almost over, but I know the scars will remain for years to come, especially for Lily, who deserves so much better than what we've given her these past few weeks." Final update. It's been 6 months since the divorce was finalized, and I felt I owed this community a final update since so many people offered support and advice during the darkest period of my life. The final court hearing went faster than I expected. When the judge reviewed Dr. Hayes' affidavit and the evidence of Qley's planned perjury, he had a look I'll never forget. Deep disappointment mixed with anger. When Marcus Chen tried to defend her, the judge cut him off, saying, "This court does not tolerate deceptive intent." The final ruling was even more favorable than our initial agreement. I kept the entire house without having to pay any compensation, and the judge warned Qley that if there were any attempts to manipulate Lily, he would reconsider the 50-50 custody decision. Qley and I have settled into our custody arrangement, with Lily spending alternating weeks with each of us. The transition was rocky at first, with Qley sometimes forgetting drop-off times or sending Lily with incomplete homework on school nights, but things have stabilized in recent months. Lily has adjusted remarkably well, though she still occasionally asks when we'll all live together again. The most unexpected development came about 2 months after everything was finalized. Qley's father, Glenn, called me out of the blue. "I need to apologize to you, David," he said. "I know what Qley did, trying to lie about you in court. That's not how we raised her." He explained that Qley had always been the golden child who could do no wrong in her mother's eyes, which perhaps contributed to her sense of entitlement. Glenn and I have since met for coffee a few times. He's even started taking Lily fishing occasionally when she's with Qley, something he never did when we were married. I've kept the house and have been slowly reclaiming it as my own space. I converted Qley's home office into a playroom for Lily and repainted several rooms. The master bedroom was the hardest to transform, but now it feels like my sanctuary rather than a battlefield of memories. Professionally, I've thrown myself into my work with renewed focus. My company has noticed. I received a promotion last month that came with a significant raise. The irony isn't lost on me that Qley's attempt to financially cripple me instead motivated me to advance my career. I've also started seeing a therapist to process everything that happened. The most painful realization has been acknowledging how much I enabled her behavior over the years by always giving in to avoid conflict. As for Qley, her life post-divorce hasn't gone as planned. Without Dr. Hayes, she struggled to find another therapist willing to take her on. She's dating someone new already, a guy from her office who's apparently already moved into her apartment, but from what Lily innocently mentions, it sounds like the same patterns are emerging. Looking back, what stands out most is how unnecessary this all was. If Qley had approached me about wanting to end our marriage like a reasonable adult, we could have worked out an amicable separation. Instead, her pride led her to make the catastrophic mistake of documenting her planned deception. The truth won out in the end. Qley got far less than she would have if she'd simply been honest, and she lost her therapist, damaged her professional reputation, and strained relationships with extended family, all because of pride and a shocking lapse in judgment. As for me, I'm not the same person I was a year ago. I'm stronger, more cautious, but also more at peace. Lily remains my priority, and seeing her thrive despite the chaos has been my greatest comfort.